Hey everybody, it's Anne here from English Valley Cafe. Welcome to this English lesson. Today I wanted to answer a question that I've received a few times about using the phrase good night. So in this video, I'm going to talk about can we use this phrase as a greeting and in what situations we use the phrase good night. All right, so let's get started with this video. So I'm sure you've learned in your English class, probably on the first day, that we can use good morning, good afternoon, or good evening as a form of greeting, right? In addition to like the typical how are you? How's it going? What have you been up to? So that's perfectly fine. You can use good morning, like in the morning if you're out jogging and you see your neighbor. You might just say, oh, hey, good morning. So we use that as a greeting. Now for good night, we don't use good night as a greeting. So let's say it's already dark out and you're going to meet up with your friend for dinner. When you see your friend, you're not going to say good night, okay? But rather we'll just say like, oh, hey, how are you? How's it going? What have you been up to? How have you been? So that would be the typical greeting that we'll use, even though it's at night. So now the question is, then when can we use good night, right? So we only use good night when we are leaving our friends, or like when we are departing, when we're going home. So let's say you met up with your friend for dinner, and after dinner you guys are going home. At that time, then you might say, oh, good night. Okay, good night. Other situation that we might use it is like, let's say I'm chatting with you and it's getting really late here. I'm ready for bed. So I might just end the conversation and say good night. Okay, so we don't use good night as like a greeting, like hi, how are you? But we do use it to say goodbye. So it's like another way to say goodbye when it's at night. Now, I do want to say something about using good afternoon and good evening. Generally, like if you're meeting up with your friends and you see them, we don't really say good afternoon or good evening because it's more of an informal, casual situation. So in those instances, we might just say, hey, how's it going? How are you? How have you been? That kind of greeting. But if you were to go to this like a fancy department store, or you go to a grocery store, the employee might say, oh, hey, good afternoon or good evening. Or if you call customer support, like if you call a company's customer service, they might use good afternoon or good evening. Okay, so it's a little bit more of a polite expression. So typically we will use good afternoon and good evening in more of like a business setting where we want to be a little bit more polite. Okay, but generally, like if you're just hanging out with your friend, you're meeting up with somebody that you know very well, we don't really say good afternoon and good evening as a greeting. I hope you find this video useful. If you have any questions about when to use a phrase or if a phrase is appropriate for a certain situation, let me know down in the comments. And that's it for this video. Thank you so much for joining me. I will see you in the next video.